What's up, sleepyheads, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sleepy Aliens Perspective. This is officially my third recording, and let me just say that I think this is getting smoother. I'm not having a slight panic attack, and it's not like I hate being on camera. It's just that, talking to yourself and to a camera and to a microphone, and also trying to keep your thoughts fluid and stay on track. I don't know, it's funny when you learn things are more difficult than they seem when you actually get into it, but I'm definitely learning that. But yeah, so it is my Friday again, and I think I like recording on my Fridays because it just feels cathartic, at the end of my work week to just have this moment and expel some of my interesting moments and experiences. Yeah, I think today's episode is going to be a good one. I'm excited. I'm proud that I'm continuing to face my fear of judgment because, that's a huge aspect of this experience. Yes, I want growth in my career and I want opportunities from having this channel, but I think a huge thing is also just one, getting better at exercising my opinion and not being afraid of the reactions and embracing the hatred and embracing the love at the same time and not being afraid of what hatred or even obsession may come from that. I don't know, just putting myself out there, I think it took me a few leaps and bounds to get comfortable with it, but I'm starting to enjoy it. And I don't know, I'm really proud of myself, and I feel like I've shifted into a new reality. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. But yeah, so this is the third episode. First, I want to have a quick moment about a customer conversation that I had. And for those of you who don't know, I am a cashier at a busy and bougie grocery store in Portland, Oregon, New Seasons Marketplace. Won't tell you which one I work at, but I do work there. And a huge thing about New Seasons is that they really encourage employees to have meaningful conversations with customers and to build actual rapports and relationships with them. And it's not a hard thing to do because the vibe in the grocery store that I work at is really peaceful, and I don't know, I'm not super social to where, I don't know, I'm my natural state is quiet, and I have no problem being social when I need to be, and I love learning about new people and different things, so it's easy for me to strike up a conversation with someone despite also not talking a lot outside of work sometimes. I could go my whole weekend without talking, but just having those moments, it's natural. And so I get into some really good conversations with customers about their lives, their careers, and they tell me crazy stories. And that's one thing I do enjoy about my job. I can't have that moment with all 120 customers that I see each day, but at least, I get that a few times. And, it makes the day more worthwhile, and it reminds me that, people are good, life is good, we have nothing to worry about. But this customer was an older lady, she wasn't old. She probably had to be in her mid-40s, if anything. And just someone I just would never think that I would connect with. But I don't even know how we got to talking about it, but I think I just, had a vulnerable moment when I was the worst thing about being single, the only time you'll ever really be sad about it is on your Friday when you come home, when you're tired from the work week, when you're achy, when you are maybe horny, when you just want to be cuddled. It doesn't matter. you just want that comfort from another person, and I just mentioned how that's like my Fridays are the only time that I really have that intense kind of sad about it, craving for a relationship. And this customer agreed with me. And we both just kind of laughed about it because we were like, yeah, and after our Fridays, after we have that one day, we don't want to be around anybody. We just want to keep focusing on ourselves and like worrying about ourselves. And that's one of the best things about being single. I personally have had a huge, like, I think the only reason I've gotten as far as I have in my spiritual journey is because I spent my teens and my 20s and, now in my early 30s being single. And, it was definitely challenging, like earlier, like I'd say from like 18 to, I want to say 26 is when I was just really sloppy about it all. I think I was in that like, oh, being single is depressing. And granted, I think I always lived with people. I lived with like, at one point I lived with 5 girls and I think they all had a boyfriend. And I was the only single one in the house and I was the only black one in the house. So it was just a weird complex I think I had about it then. But there was just a lot of phases that I went through in my singlehood journey. And I am definitely at the point now where I'm very comfortable being by myself. And I do, if I have like a bout of like feeling lonely or, craving a relationship or a partner or some sort of just that comfort that you get from another person. If I ever do find myself in those moments, like, it's really easy for me to allow myself to feel those feelings and know that like I'm single for a reason, and I've been blessed to not have any kids right now, to not be weighed down by the complexities of another's emotions, and to not have those obligations that come with a relationship. And obligations is not the word that I would use if I were in a relationship, but having this outside perspective of being single, for me, it just seems like an obligation. But yeah, so not having any of that and having that time to yourself and being able to heal like all of my different traumas, being able to follow and make a career path for myself, having different hobbies and exploring those things about myself and different goal points that I want to have to be like a better person. And it can be anything from like building my nutrition and like adding more vegetables to my diet and embracing that. And I love vegetables. I make smoothies. I love vegetables. I eat salads. I like the glow of my skin. I don't wear makeup. Like for me, like vegetables are my like cosmetic surgery. I know what vegetables to eat to like give my skin a certain glow and a certain look. But all of those things that I get to work on and better about myself and learn a new language, like all those little things I get to do. Like it's my schedule, my time, no one's impacting it. And that is the blessing of being single. And anytime I do feel bad about it, I also give myself a reality check. Do I have the time? Do I have the energy to be investing in a relationship right now? And in the midst of career projects such as this, or let's say I wrote a whole book that never got published, that could be another example, a real life example. But either one of those things, would have been different experiences had I been, just starting a relationship or was 3 years into a relationship, And now I have this time to continue to raise my own vibration and uplift my areas of my life in different ways. And then I'll attract an even healthier relationship because I've been building all of those things within myself. So I think being single is a beautiful thing. And that conversation I had with that customer was really reaffirming and entertaining and just surprising. It was sweet. I was very happy to have that moment. But it was nice just to reflect on the fact that there was truly only one bad day you'll have in a week if you're a single person, and that's just when you're tired and you need comfort, And if you're horny, one good masturbation session can just nip that in the bud right away. So I think that's also something to consider. But yeah, that was my great customer conversation from the week. And I have another one, but that's a part of another story that we're going to get to. Next, I want to give a shout out to a gluten-free company that has really helped me get through my celiac journey, because I've only known I was celiac. I think I've been gluten-free for about 5 years now, and it's been life-changing. And really, I've just been healing my gut from growing up in the 90s and consuming crazy food dyes and like copious amounts of sugar and salt and not drinking enough water and drinking so much milk and dairy products that just built chronic inflammation throughout my body. So I've just slowly been working to reverse those effects. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to have an inner teenager, and that inner teenager loves pizza rolls, frozen pizza. I don't know. I like frozen foods. It's something that you develop when you grew up in the 90s. I don't know how everybody feels about frozen foods, but there's good frozen food out there. And a gluten-free company that I want to give props to is Feel Good Foods, because they make gluten-free pizza rolls, egg rolls, the best gluten-free egg rolls that I've had thus far on the market are Feel Good Foods gluten-free egg rolls. And they have chicken, vegetable, and I think they have pork too. But they also have pot stickers. I mean, before I had that company's pot stickers, I think I had gone 2 years without pot stickers, and that was so depressing. They also have mac and cheese balls. I say balls. Gosh, sometimes when I say that, it drags out in a weird way. But they have mac and cheese balls. balls. Yeah. And mozzarella sticks. But yeah, I just want to give props to that company, because even though I am healing my gut, there's, going to be at least 2 days out of the week where I don't want to cook and I don't have leftovers, and I want something that's going to give me a little comfort and my little dose of dairy that I treat myself to once a week. So yeah, thank you to Feel Good Foods. I will give my reviews on different products, because not everything is perfect, and there's always room for growth. So we will be going into detail more about their frozen pizzas, because they do a deep dish pizza as well, which is good. But we got to talk about the sauce. Anyways, up next, I want to talk about, so another benefit, of course, to being single is paying less for groceries. And of course, I work at a grocery store, and I have a 20% discount on my groceries on organic produce, and that's how I keep this glow going, And I have a 20% discount on, anything throughout the store, but a huge, area that I spend it on is produce. If I am going to eat meat, I don't eat. Well, I do eat a lot of protein, but I do eat a lot of meat because, the grocery store that I work with, the meat quality is so good. I'm getting sidetracked again. But my point was that I spend less on food, and my discount at my job really helps with that as well. But, I see all these families, and this week this mom told me that she spends over $2,000 a month to feed her family of 4. And that's gnarly. And so I looked up at the Bureau Labor of Statistics, the U.S. Bureau Labor of Statistics. And they say the average family spends $412 a month on groceries. And that's the average family. So that's probably somewhere that's a little bit under middle class. That middle class is dying. So somewhere around there. But even $412 seems who are you feeding? What are they eating? And this is the problem with our government assistance programs, who don't allot for more nutrient-dense foods to qualify for those food stamps. I mean, yes, you get the discounted processed canned foods, but when you calculate that amount that you get monthly, you do have to be smart and say, well, how much can I spend on organic produce or produce at all? I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're making it. It just doesn't seem like the government, of course we already know they're not giving people the right amount of money to feed themselves, but just that calculation surprised me. But yeah, you should go on their website because they have some really interesting spending statistics from 2020. And again, can we say what happened the past 2 years, the CC came out to play, and CC has impacted our whole world. CC, yeah, that's what we're gonna call her. We're gonna call her CC. But yeah, CC happened and changed our spending habits. But they have on there, I saw that you can see how many people spent money on reading materials, and that went up way higher. And it also showed which industries were impacted, and the entertainment industry was not as impacted as the food industry and other industries. So I think at the end of the day, we really see where American priorities lie, and entertainment is always going to be up there. Hollywood, program, society, I think so. I think that proves it. But I just thought about that. And so if you're single out there and you're feeling down about it and you're I don't have anybody, where's that family I want to start? Just remember that you're not, one, being thought to spend an average of $412 a month on groceries and feeding a family of 4 or 5. And what about those people who have 7 kids? Again, I don't know how they do it. And, maintain healthy lifestyles and can still, afford all of the other necessities that technology and societal advancements have forced humans to invest their monthly incomes in. That's everything from phone bills to, your internet subscriptions and all that. And the power that these internet companies will have in the future when it comes to, we rely on, of course, we rely on the internet, but financially it'll be interesting to see how those bills increase over time and how much power those companies will have. Because I don't know, they have a lot of power, and already I feel every year I spend way more than I should be spending on internet, especially if you live in an area where the quality of the signal isn't consistent and yet you're paying $75, $80 a month, and you're investing in higher speeds. I mean, it's a whole thing. And there's already so many whole things that we need now to do our jobs, feed our families, fulfill our personal journeys and our other survival needs. I mean, there's just so many holes that our dollars have to work through these days. It's interesting when you think about it, but it's easier if you're single and you don't have kids. And I'm going to stop bragging about that, but it feels good. And I also want to say that there's probably I think there's maybe like 20% of the parents I talk to about, what it's like to have a family and have kids, 20% of them have like a really positive, upbeat response about it. The 80%, it just scares the shit out of me. It makes me not want to have a kid. And I just think about all these burdens and challenges and the fact that I'll have to repress my own, urgency to, just not being able to just up and go and, travel somewhere, just the checks and balances that come with having a family. I don't know. So, yeah, if you're single, enjoy that freedom because I'm going to keep enjoying mine while I have it. And, of course, I'll have it as long as I want it, but, we'll see what happens when my time comes. Oh my gosh, this is really nice. Self-growth moment that I had during this work week. So if you tuned in to my previous episodes, I've been discussing about me working through my issues with following through with conflict once it's escalated to a certain point that would put me out of character, essentially. So, an update on my living situation. My roommate has told people that she no longer lives in the apartment. I don't know if she'll follow through with the last few months of our lease and pay rent. We'll see. It's up in the air. I never got a heads up about any of this, so it's a weird situation. But I hope everything, goes smoothly, and I hope my roommate is the person I think she is and, will do the right thing. But at the moment, it's really weird, and it's put me in a weird situation. But it's also helped me realize that I need to get better about addressing red flags in friendships. I think with friends, there's this overall tone of everything's easygoing, it's laid back, there's no pressure, there's no commitment, you just don't address those things like you would in a romantic relationship or with a family member. It's just different with friends, you just don't have those pressures. But I think we sometimes fail to see those red flags in which your energy may be conflicting with another person's or what a person may be bringing out in you. And something that I noticed with a coworker that, I'm developing a positive friendship with, and something I noticed that the both of us do is that, one, I'll be honest, I've been through a lot of traumatic things in my life, and I've healed, those emotional complexes, but in all honesty, I can be a little paranoid sometimes, it takes me a while to build trust with someone. I can build trust. It just takes me a little bit longer to get there. But in general too, I've seen a lot of nasty behavior from people that, will make your jaw drop and, make you think you're in a movie. And having been in that predicament, it definitely puts me on alert in social situations. And, I think out of my paranoia, I read deeper when I see certain behaviors from certain people. And, I have this little meter of let me take a step back, or okay, I think we can continue building this relationship with this person and it's healthy, you know? So I'm constantly doing that in my mind. And sometimes I question, like, you know, if people secretly hate me, you know, or the people who may be talking shit about you. And of course, my bulk of where I socialize happens at work, and you know that stuff does go down, and you just don't know who's doing it sometimes. And you know, but I like to be aware of who I'm giving my energy to, and if that person is worthy of my energy. But yeah, but I noticed my coworker has that paranoia complex where, you know, she too has had her experiences, and she is on has this heightened scale of danger when it comes to people, or where she feels safe with certain people. So I basically told her that, you know, I think she vocalizes that and I internalize my paranoia. And because sometimes, like, she'll like say something and I have like this like rewired positive response to like the paranoia complex that, you know, she's expressing to me. And you know, she's like, stop being so positive, you know. And well, that's another story. Well, that's a whole other thing. But I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. But yeah, stop being so positive. And, you know, I had to tell her that I have that response because that's how I treat my own paranoia in my mind, you know. I run through it with, you know, logic and trust and faith and just, you know, letting that stuff go. And that's how I've learned it. But I told her that we should be aware of it. So, you know, if she's doing it or if I'm doing it, like, you know, let's call each other out, let's help each other, you know. But that's my first step into, like, you know, like, okay, we're building this friendship. Here's this red flag because two friends, you know, attracting each other because they have paranoia complexes. And, you know, if we're expanding on that together, that's not healthy. You know, we should both be expanding on our trust complexes together and talking about the different ways that we are building trust and growth in each other. But yeah, that was my big personal growth moment because I don't think I've ever really addressed a red flag with a friend like that. I've definitely like set boundaries like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, you know, or that's not a place that I want to go to, or, you know, I don't drink that much because, you know, I have autoimmune things and joint pain, and alcohol just doesn't work with joints. But weed's okay. Weed is okay. But yeah, alcohol, no. But I don't drink much. So just, you know, setting those boundaries and like having friends that will respect those boundaries. You know, those are basic things you establish. But those red flags of those underlying behaviors that can become problematic later on, I think people need to be more aware about those things and don't be afraid to address it. And if you have a friend that you're building a relationship and they get weird about what you're addressing with them, that's another red flag. That's a red flag that one, you know, they may not have that high self-awareness of whatever complexes are in them, and that they are projecting out and are attracting your energy. Like, they may not have that awareness. They may not want to address those issues. So there's just a lot of layers there. But having those like moments where you call out red flags, it saves you a lot of trouble. Like having your roommate, you know, move out before your lease is up and not really knowing if she's actually, you know, gonna follow through with the terms of her lease. So there's a lot of mystery there, and you can avoid all of that mystery by calling out those red flags. And that is my growth moment of the week, and that's what I need to get better at doing within my friendships. I think when it comes to dating, Oh, I think a big issue for me is not just going straight for like, let me know this, let me know that, let me find out this. You're not going to work. Just cutting people out very quickly, and not allowing things to just build organically. That's probably a problem I have. But I like to avoid disappointment and unnecessary stress. And also, that's another thing. How do I get my skin to glow naturally? Well, being single is a lot less stress. And yeah, that helps too. All right. What does the word pineapple mean to me? So I want to talk about this because I don't get a chance to express my discomfort, my frustration, my disgust. Like, I don't get to say, fuck off, like when I'm at work and I have a married man, and not all of like the dads that come through my line are, I'm 31, but I do look very young. I'm not 31 yet. I'm going to be 31 May 1st. But anyways, it's getting off track there. But not all of the dads that come through my line are creepy. And granted, I do look young, which makes it even worse. But a lot of them are the ones that creep on me are, they're married, they have kids, just really weird social skills. And I can feel like like I said, I'm very sensitive to energy. If we want to be real, like spiritually, I'm all the way tapped in up there. I know about things happening. I understand some things, not all things, but yeah, I'm tapped in, and I can sense when someone is projecting like a lustful energy towards me or just a sexual energy. Like, I know it. And I've had moments where I've gaslighted myself and I've been like, you know what, I'm being dramatic. This person isn't being a creeper. But then I have those dads who are respectful. Like, there's no crossing of boundaries. There's no sexual energy. I'm just like the friendly cashier at the grocery store that they have respect for. And like, those are the dads that like I love and like I'm so grateful for, because they help me know in that contrast that no, I'm not crazy. Like, this man is being creepy, and how disgusting when you're married and you have kids. But pineapple is the code word that I say to my coworkers when I have one of those creepers, because they'll keep coming through your line. And if you're friendly to them, they like it. And if I'm cold to them, I don't say much. I keep the transaction like quick. I don't give any eye contact. Like, I'll just look down. And there are some people who may assume that a cashier has poor social skills if they're looking down. But just know that that cashier is probably tired of making eye contact with over 100 fucking strangers in a single day. It's exhausting if you're a genuine person and, like you can't really make genuine, like, deep eye contact with that many people in a single day. It's too much. It's a lot of transference of energy, and I don't think anyone should be transferring that amount of social energy in our capitalist society. No. Energy doesn't, no. I'm not going to keep up with that. So I just can't do it. And so sometimes I look down. But that was my response with this creepy dad today. And he wasn't the only creepy customer that I've had this week. But the fact that I can't, like, express that this customer is making me uncomfortable, because that customer could easily be like, well, that cashier is crazy and she's disrespected me, and because of the store that I work with being so tight with their policy, like I just almost had a coworker get in trouble for get fired for calling, referencing a really horrible, nasty customer who just Instacarts at our store a bitch over the walkies. And she almost got fired for saying that. And so, think about my freedom of speech when it comes to setting my boundaries with customers who aren't overtly expressing the energy that they're putting out, but I can, I know it, I sense it, And I think a huge reasoning for that is that, because I only really get that with men from an older generation, like young guys, like who are, I'd say, 35 and under, I don't get that kind of weirdness from, It's only the ones that are older from those generations where, you weren't able to masturbate, you were, living in that religious fear and that sexual expression. It just wasn't let out in a healthy way. It wasn't taught to you in a healthy way. And so there's so little energetic healing that these men have done around their sexual desires and their sexual experiences. And then there's also just the complex of a lack of education, a lack of embracing their body and understanding their body and understanding like the emotional and like physical depths of sex and how to have a healthy sexual experience. And I could be wrong. Maybe some of these, dad creeps know about that. But to me, that is my explanation for these men who will go to grocery stores, different retail places, and project all of that sexual energy continuously onto a stranger that they know will never and won't ever reciprocate, but they have this fantasy in their mind. And and I think that also stems from marriages where, there needs to be a healing around the sexual nature of that relationship, or maybe there should just be no relationship if, those things are non-existent, because at that point, you're just roommates with government benefits. But I think it's just a really frustrating phenomenon. And as far as spiritually, energetically having to hold in all of that frustration and not being able to express myself, it gets to me. And, I usually, like, at the end of my work week, like tonight, I'm going to just take a nice long salt bath and soak and just cleanse my energy and expel all of that grimy filth that my energy field is picked up on from the day. But I don't know, pineapple, that's how we got started with that. But yeah, pineapple is the code word, and I think this past work week I used that code word 3 times. I think 3. It could be 4. The work week just blends together. Yeah. The final topic that I want to talk about before we close out today, if you tuned into the very first episode of Sleepy Alien's Perspective, I talked about mangoes and how this spring season, collectively, I believe that people are healing their root chakras, their inner security. And I just want to focus on the 3 key points to building your inner security. You have faith, trust, and of course, confidence. That's the last one. But I believe those are the 3 key points to building your inner security. And I'll be honest, like, I am still healing my organized religious upbringing, and I have just over the past 6 years, intentionally, I've been rebuilding my relationship with God and not being afraid to even say the word God, because organized religions can, just taint the energy and the purity of like that word alone, and it could carry such a heavyweight of trauma for some people. And for me, it took me a long time to let go of that, like, organized religious trauma that I had. And it wasn't like any, it's just the words that you can't say on some of these platforms. But it wasn't any Catholic level issues. I didn't experience anything like that. It was more so of the psychological warfare that organized religion put into my mind, where, you just constantly obsessing about sins and blessings and doing the right thing, and you just constantly feel like even though you're told that God loves you and God will forgive you, there's all these things you can do to offend God. And when you're a kid, you just question, like, did I offend God? Am I going to offend God? Did I do enough to please God? And my I think even as a kid, I was a deep thinker, so that definitely got to me. And even with my, like, sexuality, I was, I thought every time I masturbated, something bad will happen. And if something bad happened, I thought it was because I did masturbate. And no one explained to me what masturbation was, that it was natural, that it was okay. So for so long, I guess I grew up thinking my sexuality was a bad thing, and my own vaginal disgracing that I did, just rejecting my natural desires and knowing that that's okay. Like, I don't know, did anyone else hump their pillow when they were a kid? Because I thought that was like the craziest thing, but it's so fucking common. It's so normal, and I think any dog would remind you that it's really normal. But, I say all that to say that I had a huge complex to where I, in order to build my inner sense of trust, I had to, like, rebuild my relationship with God. And I had to rebuild that because to have trust in the unknown and to have that faith that everything is working out for you mentally, and maybe this is just in this third dimension, you need to have something or figure or just some sort of manifestation of something that will give you a sense of, like, I can surrender, and this invisible force will catch me, kind of a deal. But yeah, I had to heal my relationship with God, and I had to redefine what God would count for me as, I don't even want to use the word as sin, or disgraceful. Just what God will say, come on now in heaven. Probably don't do that. Not a good idea. Like, just doing the right thing, like, that's all you really need to do. And try to do the right thing. And we're all going to be tempted with opportunities to, like, continue to do the right thing. But, we can fall back and make a mistake and engage in a negative behavior because our emotions may get the best of us, but that's nothing that I need to repent about and bleed my knees for, like, everything's good. I just need to learn from that mistake and do better the next time, like, just developing a healthier cognitive schema around right and wrong and unconditional love. Because to me as a child, this is getting way off topic. I'm, like, going on a rant about organized religion. But to me as a child, the way it was presented to me was that God's love was conditioned. It was conditional. And there was more ways to violate it than it was to not. And I think to not, it just enhanced my complex that I have with perfectionism. Like, someone may comment on the recording on the video recording of this and say, you really need to fix those lights. But if you were a perfectionist like me and you were recovering from that complex, you're oddly going to do things where you just say, well, I don't care. At least I'm doing it. At least I'm on camera. At least I'm talking. You know, at least I'm fulfilling my goal. At least I'm enjoying myself. Like, you're gonna just let little things like that go if you're recovering from that complex, you know? Like, little things like that, it's, for me, and the things that I, like, tend to want to, like, perfect and enhance. And I'm, like, so self-growth, like, obsessed. Like, that's all, I love that stuff. I love working on that. I don't know why. I could go into a whole, like, life timeline spill about how I, like, became obsessive with that. And it could literally start from bananas in pajamas, PBS, and just reading a lot of, I don't know. Yeah, I could go on about that. But my point is that I don't even know how I got there, actually. But little things like that. Yeah, my perfectionist complex tied to my religious complex, my religion complex. But letting go in little areas of like that, it's such a relief. And now that I've like redefined my own relationship with God, all of those pressures have gone away, and it's helped me evolve. Like, it's helped me add that bit of science that spirituality always needs. Because to me, I think, you know, what the Western world lacks is that combination of science and spirituality, and they should always go together, because together, like, they truly evolve, like, the human species, I believe, and energetically, the human soul. But that's a whole nother spiel. But yeah, my point there is that I've had this, you know, evolutionary transfer of like my sense of trust, and it's taken me multiple near-death situations of being reminded that somebody in some force is looking out for me. It's taken me, I've avoided so many disasters. I've avoided, you know, there's some things I won't say on camera. This isn't Vlad TV. I'm not going to incriminate myself. But at the end of the day, I've avoided a lot of issues in my life. And I think someone's looking out for me, that so that I can fulfill my purpose and go on to do the positive things that my intuition inclines me to do. So building that sense of trust, and if you don't believe in God, build that trust within yourself, because I think that's the half of it too. You know, can you view your mistakes as natural learning patterns of the human species, or will you internalize it and keep viewing it as not being worthy, not being deserving, not enough to move forward and achieve? Like, I think changing your perspective on that as well will be really healthy. But when it comes to faith and knowing that everything is working out for you, I want to say that I know that it's not easy when it comes to being dealt life-threatening, difficult situations, struggling financially, dealing with family drama, just feeling like nothing's actually working out for you. But that is the biggest illusion of the Matrix, that if you believe that nothing is working out for you, you put that energy out there, it proliferates the Matrix, and it allows it to consume the energy that your soul puts out. And it'll consume it in a way that depletes you. And it'll do it in different ways. It'll do it financially in your relationships. It'll just manifest that feeling that you have. And so really transforming your sense of everything is working out for you is truly essential. And I know that's like a la-di-da, you know, phrase, but like, you have to think that even through those disasters that ultimately help you gain new skills, help you grow in strength, and help you learn, who's for you and who's not for you, and just help you grow as a person. That's what you really learn when it comes to surrendering and having faith that everything is working out for you. You learn to not view those life situations that you would call a disaster an actual disaster, and you would embrace it. And when you have those challenges, your brain will start to think, okay, well, how am I going to grow from this? And you get kind of excited when you think about that. And you're also going to think about how you'll be challenged. And when you think about how you'll be challenged, you'll have to delineate what behaviors and what perceptions you have that are blocking you from overcoming that challenge. And that's a lot of work in and of itself. And that's why we are blessed with time. And if you're ever blessed with time, you should work on these things. But that's a huge aspect of faith. And of course, in the material world alone, confidence is everything. But confidence is truly key when it comes to building inner security. You have to have belief that you can overcome things. And sometimes that belief is going to be hard to hold on to when you're in those difficult life situations. But when you overcome those situations because you had your belief, it only adds to it, and it gets easier to believe. It gets easier to trust and to have faith. And again, you don't have to believe in God or any external power, but having faith and trust and belief and confidence in yourself is more than enough. And I think everybody, as we continue to build into the spring season, should be working on that security so that the seeds and the actions that you're taking, you want to make sure that they're planted on good soil, healthy soil that will allow your roots to burgeon and good things to blossom from all of your efforts and actions. Because I promise you, next year, it's going to be amazing, if you set these seeds right. So please meditate about your root chakra, your sense of security. And yes, you build faith and trust and confidence all throughout your lifetime. But think about where you are in your journey with your confidence and your faith and your trust. Be intentional about how you can enhance those journeys and grow in those areas so that you can live a more stress-free, relaxed life, so that you're not so paranoid and so you're enjoying things more. And honestly, these are things that I'm working on too, because like I said, this is a lifetime journey that we have to build these things within ourselves. And we're constantly going to be thrown challenges that shake up our faith, trust, and confidence. And knowing that we can regain and stabilize that faith, trust, and confidence, that is what, the journey of those areas is all about. Knowing that you can get right back to where you were, because you have the perceptions and the belief system and the faith and trust that has been building to give you this shield of nothing can really fuck with me. And that feels really good. Anyways, this has been the longest episode yet, the 3rd episode. But anyways, this has been great. Thanks again for listening to me ramble. And if you are just tuning in for the first time to this episode, I do jump around from topics a lot. So enjoy that experience. Enjoy how things come out of my brain. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm really enjoying this. So again, thank you. Have a great night, sleepyheads.